every new skill you need to develop. There's so much you need to sort of go through to get to where you want to be with it. But I think ultimately that's what we love and why we do it.
I'm Robin Johnson, this is Yours for the Making, and I'm joined by Calum Price from deBolex Motorcycles. There's very few bikes that I think tick every single box of being reliable, fast, comfortable, could fit in anywhere, can ride with anybody, can ride on any kind of road. I think that's
it's a pretty cool one.
Pretty close to perfect,
Yeah.
even though it's 70 years old. This show tells the story of the makers, the people that create things, whether it's in wood or metal, whether they're artists or musicians or chefs. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell their story.
I hope at some stage there'll be something we get to build. Maybe one of the biggest influences of bikes, my dad's got a Vincent and my granddad had one. So they were both, I've always loved Vincent. Yeah, and they've been a big influence. And so I hope at one point we get some time to be able to do that and build something for ourselves. But
I'm Robin Johnson, this is Yours for the Making, and I'm joined by Calum Price from deBolex Motorcycles. Calum, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So, you've been going for quite a long time now,
Yeah.
actually. When did you start? 2012? Maybe?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think the business, maybe we actually put a name to a bike in around 2013, maybe.
Really?
But I've been building bikes and cars probably, since I was about 17, 18. Yeah.
How did you start?
So my dad had a garage and he did a lot of classic car maintenance and general maintenance on vehicles. I worked for him for 4 years. But when I was 17, I bought an old Ford and was told not to strip it apart. But the first thing you do is pull the axle off it and everything else, and got stuck into a nice project with that. I think I spent 2 years building that, but that kind of gave me the foundations of what I do now. So painting, engine building, metal fabrication. And then got my bike license, lost my bike license through speeding quite quickly. And if I couldn't ride a bike, I thought I'd build one. And and then that one bike led to another and 15 years later, where we're at now. So yes.
Yeah. And it's been quite, I've been following you pretty much since, I think when I first started following you and the bikes that you're building was probably around 2013, 2014. And at that time, it was a real resurgence in kind of the classic retro custom scene, Brat bikes, that sort of thing. The whole, I guess the bike shed movement was just starting to take off then. It was a really good time to be around it and see it all coming. But watching your brand essentially develop its own identity it's been a great thing to watch, because your bikes, they've always been quite unique, but now I feel like you've really got a sense of identity, and the bikes that you build, especially the DB25 range that you do, they're incredible. They look really, really nice, but they don't look like your typical sort of custom build where you'll get a different tank, forks might change different seat or whatever. It's like, it's its own thing. You make them with Ducatis.
Yeah.
But you can tell that they're a Ducati, but you can also tell that they're a deBolex Ducati.
Yeah. It's quite. I remember being. We'd probably built, say, 5 or 6 bikes, and those bikes were I was probably quite influenced by what was being built at the time, and I remember being at that sort of stage, like, how am I going to find our own identity, our own image, and I remember having those thoughts and not really actually coming up with anything, but somehow naturally, mainly through metal fabrication, I think we started exploring, what we could do with aluminium, and then a lot of influence from the classic car world. I think a bit of that, a bit of aircraft stuff, and maybe the full fairing thing. I love design, and with naked bikes, you've just got a tank and a seat, and there's not a lot to play with. But full fairing, there's so much you can do with it. So I think the combination of some of those car influences, and one day just grabbing a sheet of aluminium and being right, I'm going to build a full fairing, and it did just naturally develop, which was fortunate. And there's quite a lot, I guess, a few design things that have kind of we keep throughout our builds, and that's ended up giving us quite a strong kind of look that people recognize.
And what are the key factors that influences your kind of build, and what are the things that are the most iconic designs for your business? I think one of them on your fairings, a lot of the time you kind of almost panel out the front light. And that's quite unique to you, isn't it?
Yeah, I love I always love, well, I guess most people do, race machines are always like the best thing. Road bikes are always a bit of a compromise from, a race vibe. And we try and capture as much of those race elements as we can. So by covering the headlight and a kind of race style front number board is kind of where that came from. But there's some other features. I mean, when we strip a bike down and we're getting ready to make some bodywork, we're looking at like air intakes and kind of exhaust routing and different features that might drive the design of the fairing. Once we've found those, we can kind of work from there, and they tend to be like the really interesting parts of the fairing design in the end. It's good fun.
And the line you're doing at the moment with the Ducatis, is that like in tandem with Ducati, or are you buying bikes, stock from them and then doing your own thing?
Yeah, just on our own. Yeah, they knew about the project, and they were supportive of it. But it's we just buy new or used Ducatis and strip them down, and so that's a series run. We built 25 of those. This is the first, I guess. So we built maybe 14, 15 one-off bikes, and then we decided to build like a series run, which obviously it makes a little bit more business sense. So we still built the prototype in the same way we build a one-off, so all from aluminium, and then we take molds from those panels, capture kind of all those kind of traditional metal shaping lines that you get from that, but in a modern carbon fiber panel. And then from that, we kind of have a blank canvas for the customer then to add their stamp to it, with colors and finishes. And it's been a real fun process. We've learned a lot. We can definitely build them quicker than we can a one-off. They still have their own hurdles and things. It's, like any project, but it's been fun. We're on bike number 13, I think now. This one's going to be a tinted red clear carbon, which is it's going to be interesting. But there's been some really cool colors. We've had some amazing customers, and it's nice to have seen, I guess, more bikes come out at a quicker pace. Some of the projects take a long time, and with the series, they're kind of a little bit quicker. And it's been fun.
Well, the first one's probably slower because you've got to make all the molds, you've got to tool up for it, and I guess it's one of those things. If you're going to do a production run, it's worth spending all that time on the first one because everything else subsequently will be a lot faster. Yeah. But the first one's probably taken you way longer than a normal custom bike, surely.
Yeah. I think we must have done a year on the prototype. Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was during COVID, which was quite nice. The workshop was quite quiet, and we just got our heads down. And I think there's 23 panels on this bike, so they were all made from either steel or aluminium, and then that means 23 molds and 23 carbon panels to lay every time for each bike. So it's quite an involved process. But it's been good. We're looking forward to sort of jumping on with the next series and kind of implementing what we've learned on this one. And
have you already got ideas for next one then?
To be honest, a little bit, but not so much, because we've somehow ended up busy building another one-off project. As you do, we sort of said we'd build no more one-off projects, but something very interesting came along and we said yes to that. So the past year, our heads have been down trying to get that one done. So I've kind of been putting the next series at the back of my mind, although it does pop up every so often in the workshop. And maybe something a bit more adventure-based, a little bit away from the kind of race vibe. But we'll see where it takes us.
Interesting. And you do everything in-house?
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen photos of you making up the aluminium, you're fabricating all the metalwork, your partner's laying up all the carbon, you're spraying in-house, you're doing the upholstery in-house. Is that something that's very important to you?
Yeah. I think ultimately I just love making things, it's and learning new skills, and likewise with the guys I work with, and so I think it's always natural that we're going to do that, and if we can't do it, we'll learn how to do it. I really enjoy the challenge. Paintwork's, I have had paintwork done by other people in the past, but because we've designed the bodywork, we know exactly where we want everything to go. And I guess it's not always about just laying down a good bit of paint. It's really getting things lining up. And that's the same with the upholstery, every stitch and everything that it normally lines up with a bit of paintwork, and having control of all of that, I feel like we can really get to the levels of detail that we're looking for.
I think that's important, actually. It's something we're trying to do more and more here. We've gone from subbing almost everything out that isn't doing the joinery. We used to take stuff to get painted, and then one or two bad experiences later. Don't get me wrong, there's been some great experiences, but one or two bad experiences have have told us actually we should do it ourselves. So
Yeah.
but it's an investment, isn't it? Every process that you're not already doing that you want to do, it always involves buying a tool, machine, or renting another space out or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you have the ultimate control, which is great for people like you and me that need that control.
Yes.
But it's also about quality as well. You can control the quality, the speed, the cost to a certain extent, but often not. You think you're going to be much better off than you are more often than not, I think. But it's all part of the learning, isn't it? A friend of mine calls it school fees.
Yeah.
Every time you make an expensive mistake, it's like, well, it's cheaper than school fees, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think in the long run it does pay off. You know, you like you say, every new skill you need to develop, there's so much you need to sort of go through to get to where you want to be with it. But I think ultimately that's what we love and why we do it, aside from other things. But
you're using for your bodywork things like traditional skills like the English wheel, and a lot of the panel fabricating skills, methods, and techniques that have been used for hundreds, not hundreds, but at least 100 years. Some of them.
Yeah.
Where did you learn to do stuff like that?
It was for the most part it was just self-taught.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I built maybe it was a third or fourth bike. The bikes prior to that would have used stock tanks, maybe off another bike, and we fit it. But I kind of wanted to make a tail, so and it was just a case of getting a sheet of aluminium. I think there's different ways to achieving bodywork on a bike, whether that's through carbon fiber, fiberglass, foam, all sorts of different ways. But it seemed natural to you don't need a lot of tools really to shape some metal. So you get a sheet of aluminium and a few hammers, you can achieve quite a lot. And it started with that, and it evolved, and the designs got more complicated, and it was just been a bit of a process, really. I did do some work experience with a company called CKL Development.
Oh, they're around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So my dad had some relationships with them, and I went down and did, I think, 4 or 5 weeks there. So that opened my eyes to what could be made from sheet.
I can't remember the guy's name. There's a chap over there who's an absolute expert.
John.
I think quite possibly, yeah. I haven't met him, but a friend of mine is very highly regarded in the Volkswagen scene, and he either bought or sold an English wheel from him, and he said, if you ever want to learn proper panel work, that's the guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. You get these cars that go to Goodwood and different race meetings, and they get smashed to bits, and you need to retain the original metal for these cars to hold their value. And so quite often, he's there with a screwed up old E-Type, and he has to pull it all out. And so I got to experience some of that over 3 or 4 weeks. And I was a bit younger at the time, so it probably didn't quite know what I was taking in. But a few years later, when I started building the bikes, some of that stuff came back, and that's been a real driving force into what we do now and how we do it. And I guess we built a 749, a Ducati, and that was the first one that had an aluminium tank tail and a belly pan, and our design influences really started sort of coming to life at that point. And I love it. It's just aluminium work especially when you get to the English wheel and starting to see the panel or flat sheet come to life. It's a really fun process.
Yeah, it's those traditional skills, the kind of heritage skills that I kind of wonder if they're being lost a little bit, because if you worked in a car body shop, if you were a panel beater, you'd have been taught all this, and there would have been maybe 50 people in your class learning how to be panel beaters. Whereas, now if you go to a body shop, you don't do so much panel beating. It's pulling a few dents, slapping a load of filler on.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Quite often they just buy another panel, take a panel off and put a new panel on and spray it. So I think these sort of skills, it's like the make, do and mend generation that would learn all these skills because it was expensive to buy another panel. So you'd learn how to fix it. You'd buy that 1 or 2 tools or machines to be able to fix it, but you'd fix it every single time.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the time these skills are sort of just being left by the wayside. I worry in like 10, 20 years time, who's going to be there to teach the next generation these skills,
Yeah, I guess some of them will be lost. I mean, for us, we do a lot with CAD, and we do a lot with 3D printing, and use as many modern techniques as you can. But going back to what you said about the look we have, by mixing the traditional with the new, it's led us down a really good path. And I think whenever you're making anything, you've got to look at all the things you have available to you, and And not by doing everything on the computer and 3D printing and stuff, sometimes certain design elements and lines and the flow of panels can really be lost. It's so it's good to explore, I think, every avenue. And like I say, you don't need a lot of tools. So anyone who's looking to build their own custom bike and they haven't got a lot, but they've got a little garage, and you can pick up a mallet and a little bit of aluminium that's not too expensive, and you're away. It's so I'd really recommend everyone sort of trying to hold on to those kind of techniques. But
there are places you can go. I mean, I did TIG welding course and a metal fabrication course, I think at Plumpton College. So there are places you can go and do like evening classes and stuff. And if someone came to me and said, I want to learn how to do a bit of metal fabrication or sheet metal work or whatever, I'd say go and do it. If you can't get work experience somewhere, go and do an evening class. Yeah. Because they're great. You meet a few other people, you get to use all the tools and machines under the tutelage of someone that actually knows what they're doing. Yeah. And I found that really, really useful, and really opened my eyes as to what you could do with metal. Yeah.
Even if sometimes even to do these things, even if you do them in that course and never do them again, but you have a good understanding of that, and then maybe you go down another road with more CAD work or something, knowing how certain things go together, and it's a really important kind of part of the process. Yeah, learning as much as you can, learning all the skills, isn't it? And just reading, watching YouTube videos, and any of those kind of courses, I think is really valuable.
And your business now, it's a family affair. Partners involved.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of people there, one of which has been with you since day one almost.
Yeah.
Have you got plans to expand? Do you like just how it is and that's how it's going to stay? Do you think you want to introduce more sort of custom lines, the DB40 or DB whatever?
Yeah.
Do you want to grow it, or you're kind of happy in the place that you're at?
I mean, right now it is really nice. We've got a real nice workshop vibe. We're all quite into our music, coffee. It's a really nice environment, fairly low stress, apart from the stress we create ourselves with these projects. But it's really nice. So I guess going forward, I'd quite like it to stay like that. Obviously, we have to go how the business goes, and if you get plenty of orders, you need to meet deadlines, and it might evolve like that. Like you say, I've got Des, who's been probably with us 15 years from the very beginning, and he's great. We've got Jacob, who's on a placement year. He's studying industrial design at uni, so he'll actually be leaving us in a few months. I don't really know how it's going to go. But I guess no real plans to build some huge empire. It's quite nice keeping it kind of fairly small. I enjoy building the kind of one-off projects. I guess we sit a little bit between the artist world and the sort of low production world, and it's a bit of a funny ground, I guess. But as long as we're getting kind of a few orders through the door and we can tick over, it's quite a nice vibe.
But you are the motorbike builder to the stars, though, Calum.
Is that what I am?
I've seen what's his name, the body coach Joe Wicks riding one of your bikes.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I think we were talking earlier. I thought someone else, George Clark, had put a deposit on one, but maybe changed his mind for whatever reason. But have you built any bikes for anyone else? Super famous?
I guess Joe's probably one of the biggest names. And
did he come to you and say, "Oh, I really like that. I want one of them"?
Yeah, and that was quite early on with the series, with the Ducati series. And he spec'd all his bike up, and he's just a really fun guy, and he loves his bikes. And that was a really fun process with him. We did one for the Prince of Brunei. That was kind of cool. Triumph. All our clients have been really. We've been very lucky. They've all really, enjoyed the process, and it's been a nice experience. But no big major celebrities coming up.
Well, Joe Wicks is pretty big celebrity.
Oh, Joe was, But nice. But it's good. It's good.
It's quite a nice thing. I mean, I think about celebrities and motorbikes. The person that stands out more than most is Keanu Reeves, and he's like super chilled, laid back guy who's suddenly got a bike building company.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, Arch, is it?
Something like that.
They build a really cool bike. yeah, he obviously just loves bikes, and he could explore that a little bit. And yeah, they built a cool product. So it's yeah.
It's I don't think it's like a celebrity bandwagon. I think he's probably doing it out of the passion that he's got for riding motorbikes, which I think is quite admirable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think there's a film that came out about it recently. I'd like to watch that. But yeah, he always comes across like that. I think he's just really passionate about it, and it's a cool product. There's a big mix of things in the bike world, different amounts of money and quality, and it's a wide thing, but not always as much money in it as the car world. So something like Arch, and then they're exploring it at a higher level, which is always really cool because it kind of pushes the boundaries a little bit more, which is nice to see. And same with our one-off project we're doing, we get to push things a little bit more. So it's like all these things, it always takes time and money. Time and money is a big thing, isn't it? And and bikes are really involved. They're pretty complicated things, and there's a lot of materials and things to consider, safety, strength, and heat, and whether it can look good, but does it ride well? And it's quite a complicated thing to produce. Sometimes we do some other sort of metalwork for shop displays and stuff, and we might have to make a table or something, and if it stands on four legs, then I know it's going to be all right and it won't fall over. But bikes, anything can happen. You can go through all the processes of trying to test things and whatever else, but they they can surprise you, and so they're quite involved. But I guess that's part of the fun and the drive to constantly try and build something better. And
well, you're only as good as your last project, I suppose, aren't you?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Each one's got to be a little bit better than the last one. Otherwise, you're at a plateau, and that's What do you do then?
Yeah, I'm never satisfied. Even when I talk about that car that I built at 17, I think I was halfway through that, and I wanted to start again, and that kind of hasn't gone away really. Every bike we've built, or everything we do, will constantly just, if we just can do that a little bit better, or next time we do this. And it's been nice with the series actually, because every bike we can evolve a little bit and we can learn from the last. And we're at a nice stage now. The one-off project we're building now, there's some real nice bits on that, and I think we've reached a nice stage with our skill level where really building something that's pretty cool. But it's always good fun.
And when you think about a bike for yourself, I'm assuming you got your license back.
I did. Yeah.
I've seen you riding a bike,
Yes.
so I'm assuming you have. The last time I saw you riding a bike in person was at the Malay Mile, and you were on, I think it was a KTM or something like that. Was it
Possibly, or Husqvarna?
It might have been a Husqvarna. Yeah, gnarly looking bike. That looked like it was absolutely perfect for the mile. Probably because you designed it specifically for it. But absolute beast that was really quick and looked like it handled really well. Have you got a little collection of bikes for yourself now, or is it one of those things that you just, because you're doing it so much, you haven't even got time?
Yeah, just never. I would never have the time to do it. Yeah, I'd love to, but at the moment we're 5-6 days a week on the bikes, and the rest of the time is spent building a house and all that stuff, as you know very well. I guess I do have. We did a Royal Enfield project based on the Interceptor. We get involved with some of the Malay events with the rallies and stuff, and we do mechanical sport on the rallies. So I built a little Interceptor for that, and we carry tools and fuel, and we did some nice bits on it. And I guess that's a bike that's always available to me, and if I'm riding, it might be that. And that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope at some stage there'll be something we get to build. Maybe one of the biggest influences of bikes, my dad's got a Vincent and my granddad had one. So they were both, I've always loved the Vincent. Yeah, and they've been a big influence. And so I hope at one point we get some time to be able to do that and build something for ourselves.
Did they have twins or singles?
Twins, yeah. So dad's is a Shadow and granddad's a Rapide, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was just lucky, granddad's bike was his everyday ride, and it was just...
What, a Rapide?
Yeah, he's done over 250,000 miles.
Has he still got it?
Yeah, well, we've got it, yeah.
Wow.
We're just about to rebuild the engine on that one. And Dad bought his when he was 19, so yeah, so they've been around forever, and now we're building one for this one-off project's based on the Vincent. So yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, I'd love to build one for ourselves, but
I would love a Vincent.
Yeah, They're pretty up there.
A little bit out of my price.
Well, me too. Yeah.
If I was going to have a classic, it would be a Vincent or be a Valicet. I grew up. My dad had Valicets. That's what got me into bikes when I was a kid. He had this 2 Valicet frames in the spare room, and it was the frames with the fork stock on it. So I'd sit on this frame as a 5 or 6 year old and hold on to the fork stock and yank it about, pretend I was racing on the bike and stuff. And then as we were growing up, he started putting one of them back together. Venom, I think it was 500. He had a 500 and 350 Vince Viper, Venom and a Viper, right, something like that. Anyway, but one of them was in the workshop downstairs in the basement. We were putting it all together, and I remember putting the clutch together, and the clutch was like a million little springs with a million little pads of cork, and we put them in with tweezers one by one, and that's kind of what got me into it.
Yeah,
he sold that thing before he finished it, so I never actually got to ride it. But I've always thought, you know what, if ever I get to a point where I could just get a bike just for the sake of riding it in a blue moon on a summer Sunday or something like that, then maybe it would be a Valicet Venom, or if I was balling, a Vincent. I would love. They are such beautiful bikes, and I think
incredible. Yeah.
From what I've seen, I remember a few years ago riding up to the bike shed, and a guy overtook me, and I was on a 1000cc BMW, and I wasn't going slow, and a guy overtook me on a Vincent.
Yeah.
Going up the A21, it was like,
mad. What? Yeah, I mean, in the 50s, that was the fastest bike you could buy. You know, it was. I think that was their slogan. I can't remember quite what it was, but yeah, 1000cc. You know, they've got plenty of power. It's certainly, even now I don't hold back. I mean, it's they're good fun bikes, and there's so many amazing little details on them. They've got 2 front side stands, so you can basically flop them down to a front stand, and you can basically remove all the wheels without any tools. So you know, if you're out on the road, they're just a great touring bike. You know, you had everything you needed. Fairly relaxed, comfortable riding position. Just a nice piece.
My friend's got a Norvin, Vincent. I don't know if it's
Norton frame.
Yeah, in a Norton frame featherbed. I don't know what. It's a twin, but I don't know which one it is. But that is a lovely bike.
Yeah,
a really, really nice bike. But he was saying it's a lot of the purists really frown upon it.
They
it's
do.
Like, oh God, why have you done that?
Yeah, Vincent guys. Yeah, they like them as they were supposed to be, I guess. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they think of ours once we roll that one out. But we've tried to keep a lot of nice features on it, take a lot of influence from the original bike, and kind of just evolve that a little bit. And
you were brazing the frame this morning before you came here, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
And is it going down that sort of path? Because if it was me, I never braze stuff anymore, because it's so labour intensive. I mean, there's always a reason to do it. If you're going to braze, it's because you want it to look that certain way. But to start brazing a frame, that's sort of telling me that you are going down a certain route where it's very traditionally built. Yeah.
I mean, the original rear frame or swing arm on the Vincent is like a lug construction, similar to bicycles. So we've basically done a similar version to that, but beefed it up a little bit. But use it instead of sort of casting the lugs, we've 3D printed them in metal. So, you know, using some of those modern techniques, mixing them with the old, and so it's we did consider bonding them. There's, you know, obviously there's amazing bonding. It's just not as interesting.
But as well, if you're using a proper lug frame construction, you could really go to town. Like I remember I was really in cycling as well. I remember making a couple of frames and being really inspired by guys. But you could go online and buy from Columbus, or someone like that would do the tubing and do the lugs already, and you get these beautiful fleur-de-lis lugs and stuff.
Oh, you put so much detail. I love that kind of look. It's a really strong way of putting something together. And so it's been good. And this morning went well. We've got a bit of tidying up to do. Brazing's not always the cleanest, but
it's hard.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be easy, but I find it really. I'd weld all day long. I'd much rather TIG weld than braze all day long.
Yeah.
But when people tell you about, you know, you can braze, when you taught in school, if you did metalwork at school or whatever, brazing's supposed to be just like soldering.
Yeah.
But it really isn't.
No,
I mean,
I
when
think it's fluxes and
I think it's hard.
Yeah,
and hats off to you, because I've brazed a couple of bicycle frames. The first time I did it, I made this really nice jig for making bike frames, put all the lugs in place and stuff, put it all together, put all the tubes in. It was great. Made the jig out of aluminium. And then I remember the first time brazing the very first lug, I'm there with torchlight blowing away. I was like, oh, it's weird. It looks like it's moving. And I looked like my focus kind of drew from where I was brazing the head tube lug to the stand behind it on the jig. And it's this aluminium sort of extrusion that just started folding and turning into paper and withering away. And I was like, stopped and was like, oh my God, I've melted the jig that's holding everything in place. And I looked down the line of it and it was like all twisted up on the head. So I had to build a new jig, start from scratch. But
that's it.
Man, these are the things you learn, the mistakes you make, and then you learn along the way, don't you?
You have to make the mistakes, don't you? We've had plenty of those, and yeah, hopefully you learn from them. It's but yeah, part of the fun.
But it is though, isn't it? I think making mistakes is a really important part of the learning process, because I think if you're not making mistakes, you aren't learning. I mean, you can learn. You can go to a school or an education place and they can teach you exactly the right way to do it. But until you do it once the wrong way, you don't really understand what the consequences are. I guess it's like when you're a kid and you misbehave for the first time and you get told, you know, that's out of order, this is why. And then you realise that's the boundary that I can push, sort of thing. Whereas I think unless you're making mistakes on a regular basis, you don't know where your boundary is.
Yeah.
And if you're not like working up to your boundary, you're operating in a very safe space, that you're not pushing any kind of limits, you're not expanding your own knowledge, and you're not growing as a craftsperson, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're definitely just not exploring things enough, I think. And when you make the mistakes, you remember it, don't you? Sometimes you do, sometimes you block it out. But we've definitely with all the processes, with paint, upholstery. I look back at some of our early bikes and, you know, some bits you cringe at, but you know, that is part of the process, isn't it? And I think you have to push and you want to strive to make the mistakes almost, don't you? It's, part of the process.
So Vincent aside, if you could if someone came to you and said, Calum, here's a blank check, I want you to buy the bike and do whatever you wanted to do with it, what would you do? And what would you do and what bike would you do it to and why?
What would I do? Maybe something like a Manx Norton or like an MV 500, you know, Grand Prix bike, 3-cylinder, something kind of 50s, 60s race vibe. I don't know, it's a tough one. I mean, I'd love to build our bike from scratch. You know, I'd love to build something complete engine up. Really? Yeah, design our own engine and go through that process. So I guess that's an ultimate dream, you know. It's we're always with the series bikes that we do, or the ones where we use a donor bike, you know, we always have the limitations of what we're starting with. With the Vincent, we have very few limitations because we're just starting with an engine, and it is a beautiful engine. But to have zero limitations and have complete control top to bottom, you know, that would, I guess, be the ultimate. And I wouldn't mind if that was electric as well. You know, it's I love combustion. I love old machines, new machines, but there's something cool about the electric thing as well. So a complete ground up build would be kind of fun.
I think that would be incredibly challenging and time consuming myself.
But we shouldn't be allowed to do that. no one should commission that.
When you do, say, your DB series, how far do you go? You're obviously saying you're working within limitations. You know, you sort of, I'm assuming you don't really touch the engine all that much. No. You know, maybe muck around the carburation, the exhaust and that sort of thing. But in terms of like the lump of the cylinder and the gearbox, I'm assuming you kind of generally leave that alone. Yeah.
So we chose that. The series is based on the Monster 1200. And we chose that specifically as a bolt-on rear subframe. So we can at least get rid of that and design our own rear subframe. But the main frame has a few light mods. The engine itself and the airbox and things we don't touch. And same with some of the wiring loom. We don't get too involved with that. To make it, you know, I still want the bike to be able to be serviced with Ducati. Some builds can end up getting too complicated and it's not necessary. So, but the limitations, for example, the Monster, the airbox that's under there, due to emissions and things, it's quite large, and you're having to work around that. You can't always get the design of the bodywork how you want it, or certain things like that. So sometimes it works in your favor, those things, and sometimes not. But I guess not limitations isn't the right word, maybe, but it's
constraints.
Same
that's sort of thing.
That's
You've got a design constraint in that you're using this donor, and you have to keep 60% of it.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
Do you keep the same forks? Change
We
forks?
do. We quite often upgrade the suspension, and we might change some colours and things. We have done one where we've completely changed the forks as well, but yeah, it depends on that. Yeah, the rear subframes are complete CNC aluminium, bespoke kind of thing. So everything from sort of the subframe backwards is ours, and then the tank itself is a polymer tank. So we hand shaped a steel mold, and then sort of powdered plastic gets poured into the mold. It gets rotationally molded, and we end up with a polymer tank. And then it has a carbon fiber skin, and then obviously all the carbon bodywork, completely different headlight and bits and pieces up there. And then again, the customer gets to choose colours, upholsteries, titanium bolts, and different wheel options we have, suspension options, indicators, lights, and bits. So yeah, there's still plenty to choose from.
Do you use the same instruments and stuff, instrument cluster?
Yeah, the Ducati actually is a really nice color display. So yeah, with a lot of our early builds, we would always be changing some of that stuff. But I guess the later ones, we kind of tend to keep a bit more of the core of the bike and dress it up, dress the outside. You know, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
The motorbike culture, the kind of community as a whole, it's changed over the years. Definitely since when you first started.
Yeah.
You kind of see this massive rise in popularity, probably 2015, 16, 17, maybe 2018. It was huge, you know. You couldn't, you know, I'd go to London to look at jobs every now and again, but you couldn't walk down a street in East London without a really nice custom bike riding past.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like it's maybe tapering off a little bit. There's still a bit of demand, and there's still people riding. I mean, the demand for motorbikes doesn't really kind of wane, I don't think.
No.
People always want to ride bikes. But I think the culture of the custom motorcycle is changing a little bit from what I've seen. I mean, I've been a bit out of touch with it because, you know, kids, house, business, everything else, you know. And I think that, but when I have gone along to things, it doesn't seem like there's quite as many people there. The events are maybe nicer in a way because they're not quite as busy, and the people that want to be there just genuine, friendly people is my take on it. So it's kind of, I watched it kind of grow, evolve, get massive, and now perhaps I'm perceiving it slightly wrong, but it maybe shrunk a little bit and just kind of become a bit friendlier.
Definitely plateaued. I think it's like you say, there was that big boom, and there was, you know, it spiked. There was a lot of custom bikes, a lot of people building bikes at home, because you can get them if you wanted these cool cafe brat style things. They weren't available. The manufacturers caught up. They built, you know, Triumph, Royal Enfield, all these brands, Ducati. They build a really nice range of heritage models that out the box are going to do everything you want them to do, and they're always going to work. Custom bikes don't always work, especially home built ones. But you know, it's so I guess then people kind of either got rid of or stopped riding their customs and maybe bought some of the heritage models. And yeah, I guess like all scenes, maybe they have their peak and they plateau. But yeah, hopefully there's other things. I mean, I was at the bike shed on Friday, and you know, at the show, and maybe there's slightly less bikes there, but it was a really nice vibe. You know, there's still quite a lot of manufacturers doing what they're doing, and kind of nicer that it was slightly quieter. Still very busy, but yeah, I guess people move on to other things. I think the adventure bike thing's seems to be quite popular now. For me, certainly things like the rallies and that Malay do, and any kind of more explorer kind of riding, I think is for me is where riding's at. You know, some of the riding on UK roads, you know, a blast on a Sunday isn't as fun as it maybe used to be. But for a few weeks of the year, going away and having an amazing trip is
going and riding 1,000 miles.
Exactly.
With a load of mates on similar sort of bikes, you know.
I mean, there's not much more fun you can have than that. It's really cool. So yeah, so a lot of the time I guess I'm not riding so much, or unless it's track days or things. But yeah, the trips are really fun, and so I think maybe it's still popular, but I guess the shows are kind of maybe slowing down a little bit. But yeah.
And with things like the rallies becoming more popular, do you think that's going to shift the trends in the custom motorcycle scene? Do you think things are moving away from brat style cafe racer and maybe slightly towards more adventure bikes and enduro bikes?
I would say probably. I mean, some of the custom bikes are uncomfortable and unreliable, so not all of them. And yeah, so I guess things have changed a little bit, but like all trends, I guess they come and go. And
What do you think the next thing's going to be? Out and out race.
Yeah, I don't know. The 90s race thing is kind of popular at the moment, or it seems to be. Yeah, the 90s thing, and the adventure thing, I think is quite popular.
Do you know why I think the 90s thing's popular? Because you can pick up a 90s race bike or race replica, which are incredible bikes. It's when bikes, I think, first started getting really reliable, really fast, really well handling and really reliable, was kind of around the 90s. And you can pick up, I know, I was looking the other day, like a VFR, it's kind of sports touring thing.
Yeah.
1,500 quid, immaculate, 20,000 miles on the clock, and the most reliable thing you'll ever buy in your life.
You're gonna have a lot of fun.
1,500 quid, you think, wow, that's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, it's weird how some stuff, I guess you go through a stage where, I don't know, maybe early 2000s, you look at 90 stuff and you'd be like, damn, that's ugly.
Yeah.
Somehow it comes around and it's better looking now, isn't it? Like you look at it in a different light, don't you? It's
what was it, the Ducati Passo or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like this whole
huge
massive brick of a bike. But like 10 years ago, I was looking at those, 20 years ago thinking, oh, that's disgusting. I saw one come up on eBay the other day. I was like, yeah, that's quite nice actually. Or
cool.
Panta or something like that.
I think I know you.
Yeah, I like that kind of box.
Yeah.
It looks like something out of Tron almost, doesn't it?
It is. It's crazy. I like that. I like the 999, the 999. It was always the ugly duckling, I think. But yeah,
coming back round.
It's a really cool looking bike.
And is Ducati something you always lean towards?
I don't quite know how that happened. I guess the 916 is such an iconic design, and that always kind of I always thought that was a special bike. The foggy era of him racing, and so I guess that's how we got going on the Ducatis, and one led to another. It wasn't planned as such, I guess, but I do like V-twins. I like narrow engines. I'm not so much into kind of the 4-cylinder thing. So I guess that's kind of happened. The Italians do things a little bit sexier, maybe a little bit more interesting. But we've worked on a big mix of stuff, Triumphs and Buells and all sorts. But yeah,
they're beasts.
The Buell's a bit of a beast. Yeah,
a good friend of mine lent me his for a couple of days and said, "Oh yeah, go for a ride." When we were living in Brighton and Hove, and I went over the downs, and like you decelerate, and then you wouldn't have, I don't know if it's just the way it was set up, but I think it was a Lightning or an X1 or something like that.
Yeah.
You kind of decelerate and just be popping along, then all of a sudden it just goes, be hunting for the revs, and you're in traffic and the thing's trying to just pull away
quite
from
hard
you.
work
like,
at times.
Oh my God, what is this thing? It was like holding on to the end of a lead of a wild dog on the end of it. Like it'd want to go when it'd want to go, and you had no control over it whatsoever. I found it a bit, and it was a lot of weight very high up as well, which I found was great when you were going fast, but when you're going slow round town or through the city in traffic, it was a nightmare. I was always scared that I'd put my foot down and then just drop it.
Yeah, it can be that top heavy thing can be really. Yeah, we built an electric bike that actually was very top heavy like that. And
I guess did you have the battery up the top or something?
Yeah, and like a power controller and stuff, and it's electric bikes are quite heavy anyway. So I mean, once you get moving, it's not so much of an issue. But yeah, kind of that town riding is a little bit more tricky. But yeah, some bikes when they're too good, they're a little bit dull, aren't they? So kind of with the Ducatis or the Buells or something, you get off and you feel you've had a bit of a wild ride, and I guess that's a bit of the excitement. So yeah, it's getting that balance, I guess, between something that's really functional and something that's at least excites you.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like that pursuit of perfection, isn't it? You want the perfect bike, but what is a perfect bike? It's something that you get on and it's like it does everything right.
Yeah,
but maybe that's slightly boring.
That's what it doesn't do right. Yeah, that's it.
That you get on and you're constantly listening. I had Tom from Foundry on before, and he was saying that it's really good when you get on a bike and you've got to listen to it because you know every sound that it makes, and if one sounds slightly different, you got to pull over.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
You've either dropped something or something's about to fall off. And he said that that's really a nice thing about riding old bikes. You get in tune with them, But then partly you think, well, does it need to be like that? Yeah. Could you not just get on a bike and just ride it for the sake of riding? Do you always have to have in the back of your mind like, oh God, what's going to go wrong now?
I guess that is it. It must just be part of the fun, isn't it? Because only with custom bikes, why does anyone want to go through the process of having to commission a bike or whatever? You can go down to the dealership and buy a perfectly good bike that looks pretty cool. It's going to be nice and reliable.
But it's the same as anyone else could buy.
This is it. You want something more interesting, that real unique thing. And
Gareth stitched me up at Bike Shed a few years ago, put a couple of beers in my hand, waited for me to finish them, and it's like, tell me, what do you think about custom bikes? And stuck a camera in my face when it was doing Oily in the Blood. He's like, yeah, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing that people can just go down to, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but down to their dealership and they get a custom bike because they've changed the headlight or the seat or whatever. And I think I just put on the Revolution show, which kind of featured all real custom artisan bike builders and stuff like that. And I was like, no, fired up, it's terrible, you know. Actually, now I watched the interview back and thought, oh no, I'm never going to be able to go into a dealership and buy a bike ever again. And now I think if I'm going to buy a bike, I probably would go and buy quite like the look of one of the Heritage Triumphs or something like that. I think they're really a nice bike.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could show my face somewhere like that and actually, or tell my mates, oh yeah, I went and bought a Triumph Bonneville or something after saying all of that stuff like 10 years ago, like, oh, it's terrible. It's like changing a phone case on a phone or whatever it was. And it's kind of embarrassing, like to. Yeah,
I guess things change, times change. Ideally, bikers, you want one of each style in the garage, don't you? You kind of, it's not enough,
N+1.
This is it.
What's you have the ideal number of bikes? Ideal number of bikes you can own, and the same for me as push bikes is like N+1. You always need one more than what you got.
You always do. This is it. Yeah, it's.
But then you need a garage, and then you need a bigger garage, and then you need time.
That's it.
And you need a different outfit for every different type of bike as well.
Helmet. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
you're
forever MOTing and servicing.
Or do you just have the one? The one thing that you can just jump on, go anywhere, do anything, comfortable, don't have to worry about it breaking down.
Yeah. I think maybe that's the way, you kind of, you get a lot of enjoyment from, that's what my dad's done with his Vincent, he's always had that. And
if you were going to have Vincent, that is the one.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
There's very few bikes that I think tick every single box of being reliable, fast, comfortable, could fit in anywhere, can ride with anybody, can ride on any kind of road. I think that's
it's a pretty cool one.
Pretty close to perfect. Yeah. Even though it's 70 years old.
Yeah. Amazing.
If a bike that was brought out in this day and age lasted 70 years, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
So it's a
It's
testament.
a shame they didn't carry on. I'd love to see Vincent come back, but
maybe something that could come back. I mean, Norton came back briefly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're busy now, I think, building more bikes. But
are they? Yeah. It's an interesting story, that one, isn't it? It's kind of been a bit of a roller coaster, that one. But Jamie was building Jamie Orison was building those. What did he call it?
72.
Yeah, they were really nice.
Yeah, really nice.
I really quite fancied one of them. And that would have been probably a doable bike. But then, has it got 70 years of life in it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Things these days are kind of built vehicles as well, cars and vans.
You don't really know what the future is, isn't it? Even with the latest electric or whatever, you don't know what's around the corner. But
do you think that is the way it's going? Do you think we'll all be riding electric motorbikes?
No, I don't think so. I think just some, as a good usable tool, but going back to like what we said about getting on something that's exciting, I think electric has its limits. It's amazing. Even for things like enduro, it's amazing, or motocross, where it keeps the noise down and maintenance is a lot easier. And there's so many great things about electric. But I can't see it ever being as exciting as jumping on an old bike or even a new Panigale or whatever, a modern sports bike. It just doesn't have that, that extra thing. But I think that's a problem. I think there's room for it. But like you say, you need one of those in the garage and one of those and one.
That's your commuter and that's your Sunday bike and then your track bike and your adventure bike and your motocross bike. Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it, to have a big garage full of bikes? But some people do.
Yeah,
some people do.
Yeah.
So, Calum, I asked the same question to everyone that comes on the podcast. If you could go back and have a chat with Calum, age 18, wanting to get into custom motorbikes, or someone asks you who's maybe inspired by what you do for a bit of advice, what piece of advice would you give?
I guess I'd come back to the metal shaping thing. I think that's the biggest thing that's drived us forward and taken us to where we are. And like I say, it doesn't involve a lot of tools or anything like that. And it's just really fun. And it can open up the doors not just with bikes, for cars or even furniture and all sorts of things. If you want to do something hands-on, get creative, and really have almost no limitations, that's the best thing with aluminium or any kind of metal shaping, if you can think it, you can make it. You know, it's a tough road. You know, there's a lot to learn, but you can really get stuck in. So I'd say, you know, order a sheet of aluminium, pick up a few hammers, you know, and watch some YouTube videos. Roll in any kind of bike. It can be a real piece of junk or something cool you can get your hands on, and just start making some cool bodywork for it. You know, explore all the kind of things you have available to you, whether that's, you know, a bit of CAD and sketching and 3D printing, and combine that with a bit of metal shaping. And I think that's kind of sets you up on a path of making something that's kind of cool and unique.
Cool. I think that's really good advice. Just get out there and do it. Have a go.
Get stuck in. Yeah. I certainly messed a few things up, but that's it. You learn along the way, and it's a fun process.
You wouldn't be able to tell the story without it, though, would you?
That's it, exactly.
Nobody I know had a straight path from beginning to success.
Yeah.
Without making mistakes. You know, it just doesn't.
Yeah, you just got to accept those, and yeah, you get those late nights where you kind of had enough of it all, but yeah, you keep chipping away.
But do you? I mean, I do here. I wake up every morning. I can't wait to get in.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
You know. Do you have the same sort of thing?
Yeah, 100%. Especially at the moment, we're with the Vincent project. We're using so many new and interesting kind of things with that. I mean, especially recently, we've had a few nice parts coming in through the post, and every day it's like another parcel of something we designed on CAD that's been machined, or this morning that bit of brazing. We've been planning the swing arm and the subframe on that for months. You know, staring at different fillets and all sorts of stuff on the screen, and then we finally 3D printed in metal, and the lugs came through the post. It's like every day is exciting with that. So yeah, we're very lucky. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one.
That sounds really cool. Like the ideal mix of modern technology meets classic engineering.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's amazing. The 3D printing thing, and you know what you can do with CAD, and
is that metal sintered 3D printing? So it's kind of almost a laser that glues the metal dust together to create the solid.
Yeah, like a welded, you know. And there's some imperfections in it, but when you're building an older bike, that actually adds. We actually had some parts CNC machined and some 3D printed, and we much preferred the 3D printed parts with all their imperfections.
Well, it's like old school casting.
Yeah,
you know, like sand casting. You'd always have those little imperfections and stuff. And I mean, thinking about like old Hondas, the old sandcast frames from the old Hondas, they're the more valuable ones, the more desirable ones because of those imperfections, because they got that provenance.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing with new stuff. New stuff doesn't have much character. Like we're talking about things being so perfect. So then you're trying to backtrack and build character, and that's just not as natural as you know what we had with old bikes, E-types, you know, all these old cars that have these beautiful switches and things, you know, it's that was just so natural then. And yeah, I guess we don't have as much of that throughout all our lives now with everything. So I guess that's where we come in, and we try and build some really interesting things with character and, you know, and everything else. But
cool, man. And if people want to see more about you and your bikes, where do they go?
Instagram. deBolex.
Yeah,
I guess that's the place. We post. It's hard to keep up with the social media stuff, but we try to keep quite a bit of imagery through there. That's probably the main place. Obviously, we have a website, and
And if someone wanted to buy one of your beautiful bikes, they just get in touch.
Yeah, drop us an email.
Big waiting list.
Well, we stopped taking orders a while ago, so we could catch up. So, but we're getting to a point where we've caught up, and so you know, if you're interested, now's a good time. Yeah, drop us a line.
You hear it here first. Well, Calum, thanks ever so much for coming in. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, and good luck with the rest of the builds. Good luck with your house. Good luck with your incoming baby, and good luck with your Vincent.
Yeah, well, almost likewise without the Vincent, with the furniture.
Not yet, anyway. I wouldn't mind a Vincent. Though. Yeah, got me thinking. Anyway, thanks, Calum.
Thank you.